never get tired of improving. Never get tired of improving. Good morning to each and every one of you. I'm so glad you guys are joining me this morning. It's another beautiful Monday morning. And guess what? We get another chance. Yes, we get another chance to live life effectively. Good morning to all of our effective living ambassadors. How are you guys doing this morning? How are you guys doing this morning? Well, Jamal celebrated his birthday. Jamal, you're getting up there, my friend. You're getting up there. You are getting up there. And this weekend, I'm so grateful to you guys. When I reach out, I ask for your support, and you guys show up in a great way. Thank you so much, Kendrick, for coming out this weekend. Thank you, Maria, for coming out this weekend. Thank you, Miss Rosalind, for coming out this weekend. Karen came out, and let me tell you something. She got a gift. She got the ability to do it, man. She showed up at the 10 and was giving such great energy. And so Kendrick sneaked in, came back to Dallas, and surprised us. I love you, my brother. You're a blessing indeed and an encouragement to me in so many ways. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, listen, guys, I'm in pursuit of becoming my best self. Now, one of the things that I've come to accept is that you can be your best self if there are some things you don't know. If there are things hindering you from becoming the person you were created to be. We could have lived a while only to discover that there were things we failed to address along the way. I want to challenge you not to disregard the things that really matters, that will help you to correct or help you to simply improve upon the life that you've been given. Okay, we've all been given an incredible life, literally a life that someone is praying about. Somebody wish they had what you have. Okay, someone wish they were in the position that you are in. And so as you start this Monday off, I want you to do some homework this week. I want you to pull out your journal, Brittany. I want you to set some time out, Miss Carol. I want you to look at your life, Miss Sybil. And I want you to do some journaling. I want you to do some writing. I want you to identify your family history. This week, it's all about our family history. Here's the deal. Did you know that failing to understand your family history can set you up for repeating the things that once happened in your family? Okay? Failing to know. And so you want to know, okay? You want to know the aspects of your family that have gone on for generations that need to stop. There are some aspects of your family life that literally has gone on. It's been the way it is. And it's been that way for so long that some of us haven't even identified that it's a curse. It's just not good. It's been a limitation factor. So this week, we're going to dive into all of the aspect one should look at when it comes to studying your family. Write that down. I'm going to study my family history. Now, a lot of people when they think about studying their family history, we think about our lineage, who was my father's father's father. Okay? We want to think, where are we originally from? I think those are the more popular ways that people look into family history. This week, oh man, come on, Miss Phyllis. Welcome, guys. Come on, Miss Linda. This week, I want to go into family history in regards to our family, a mental state. Our family mental state. Some of us have not paid attention, but we've had psychological challenges in our families for years, decades, literally generations, where it's been passed down that at a certain age, certain things just kick off in the mind and the brain. And the mental health has been a part of the family for a while, but nobody's been calling it out. Nobody has been addressing it. Nobody's been diving into figuring out how can we help break this cycle. When you commit to being an effective living ambassador, you're committing to being a cycle breaker. You're committing to being a cycle breaker. Say that with me. I'm a cycle breaker. Yeah. I'm a cycle breaker. In other words, the only way you can break cycles is to study, assess, and identify what's been a pattern, what's been a way that needs to be halted, that needs to stop, that needs to be cut. All of us have room for improvement. Everybody has room for improvement. Now, some of us, we're at a stage in our lives, it's not so much about studying your family history, even for you right now. Some of it is studying your family history for your children's children. Okay? It is important that you be responsible and start identifying patterns, start identifying cycles that literally has been moving along, and it's been passing itself on from one family generational number to the next family generation. So now what you can do, you can say the buck stops here. It stops here. Okay? So this week I want to look at this whole concept of knowing your family history. Now, there are some benefits to knowing your family history. There are some benefits. Number one, knowing your family history gives you a sense of identity. Gives you a sense of identity. The unfortunate thing when it comes to knowing that you know your family history and that identity, you want to make sure it's rooted in Christ. You want to know that it's rooted in the truth. You want to know that it's rooted in a healthy position. You want to know that your family ideology was one that was progressive. Your family ideology, the way you all thought or think, the way you guys did life over the centuries was progressive. If you're going to be a generational breaker, the cycle breaker, if you're going to be one to break generational strongholds, you have to be willing to go maybe where no one else has gone before. So this week I want all of us to not be afraid to look into crevices of our family. Do some research. Ask some questions. You say, well, there aren't that many people I know I can ask. Well, that's going to demand that you push a little bit further, a little bit harder. And here's the deal. Even if you don't have a strong history to look back on in regards to previous generations, what you want to do is you want to start studying patterns now, because it could start with you. We're going to talk more about that this week. It could start with you, because the truth is you want to know that sense of identity is solid. Insecurity has been passed down through generations. Poverty mindset has been passed down from generation to generation. Various health challenges having been passed down from generation to generation. I'm telling you, you really got to understand, when the scripture says the enemy, the devil, comes to kill, steal, and destroy, some of his approaches to getting us is locked into strongholds. Some of it is locked into that engrafted position that is so ingrained in us that we now call it, that's just the Millers. We say that's been our family. That's just the way we've always done it. We've always eaten like this. That's how we eat. We ate like that. We've been eating like that for a long time, only to discover that all of the sicknesses that have been trending through the family for centuries have been attached to what we've been eating, how we've been dealing with our bodies. You know, when you start looking at the family and you start looking at who we are in society and the position that we've acquired over time, how many of us can say that's been our family? We've been a progressive people. We've been a people that to make a difference in the earth. We've been a people that has left our footprint in the sand, and we've made our mark. We've made our mark. Or you could say, you know what? 2-3 generations deep, I can't see, I can't hear, I can't find no names of any significant person having done anything in the family. That has to change. Someone is going to do well. Why not someone in my family? Someone is going to do well. Why not me? I'm a cycle breaker. I'm a game changer. Say that with me. I'm a cycle breaker. I'm a game changer. So here's the deal. When you discover that's what happened to your mother, when you discover that's what happened to your grandparents, when you discover that's what happened to your great-great-grandparents, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Guess what? I'm learning at this stage in my life, I can make some corrections. Wisdom says, study the past to ensure that I don't repeat the past. Okay? Wisdom says, study the past, Miss Phyllis, so that I don't repeat the past. Here's the deal. A lot of people, the future is going to be difficult for them because they have not done well in the present and they continue to repeat what was. They continue to repeat what was. This ain't no shouting message this morning. This is an eye-opening message. You know, I have, and I'll talk more about this week, I have 2 uncles. I had one uncle passed last year from cancer. I have now another uncle who is struggling and dealing with cancer. My grandfather dealt with cancer. So I found it to be very necessary to go ahead and start looking into these different elements of cancer in the male man, in that of my family, because we've lost my grandfather from cancer. We've lost one of the uncles from cancer now, and there's only 2 brothers. So you got to look into that. Then when I look at my family and I look at my grandfather, you know, as much as he is the established one, 2 of us that brought the Miller daughters and his sons down the line to where I now exist, guess what? There's very little we pride ourselves on saying we got from my grandfather. My grandfather dealt with a lot of struggles. He dealt with a lot of psychological position. He was an alcoholic for a long time. Okay, back then those guys went on the contract and left their families for a while, and you just never know what happened to them on the road. You just never knew what happened to them on those islands and the different trips that they did trying to take care of their families. But my grandfather was never known to be a respectable man on the island, in that settlement, in that community. As a matter of fact, I think he was one of the least celebrated or recognized men of his age at that time. Now you got to ask yourself, hold on, he's a Miller. Now I tell my son, let me tell you something, brother. You got to look at this. You got to look at this too. We're game changers. We're difference makers. And so here's the deal. Your responsibility is to carry the Millers and carry the family name on, carry the Millers name on. Do something in such a significant way where the family feels good about the fact that you did not just repeat the cycle. You broke some of the cycles. You've decided to go further. You decided to do better. Now, here's what I'm challenging you this week to do. Don't run from the subject of identifying what it is that happened in your family and how you can make sure where you can't do it for you any longer, you're going to make sure you're doing it for those who are coming after you. Do you know how many people, family, your grandmother fought for that property? She did 2 or 3 jobs to try to acquire something she can own, only to die, and nobody tracked the property to identify it was hers. Lost it to taxes. Lost the property to taxes. When that could have been something that actually set the family up to take the family to the next level. So there is this financial struggle that's consistently showing itself up because the family is not building upon better financial management practices. The family is not building upon better financial management practices. So you got to realize it is possible for your grandmother to have acquired something, but if the family doesn't set itself up to be built upon, where one generation gets better than the other generation gets a little bit better. I'm expecting my seed. I'm expecting our daughter. I'm expecting our son to do better than Karen and I. That's the goal. That's the goal. And here's the deal. My mother should be expecting me to have done better and her children to do better. The goal is to do better. And not better to shame or to brag, but to simply says, I'm building on your shoulders. I am carrying it on as you have brought me up to this point, as I've been brought up to this point. Guess what? I made it this far. What I'm not going to do is I'm not going to leave not having made a mark, not having done something so significant that it would have been said, I was here. Okay, I was here. So I want you to look into this, understanding that when you know your family history, it gives you, number one, it gives you a sense of identity. Number two, it makes you more resilient. It makes you more resilient. I told my son, I said, hey boy, you're a Miller. You're a Ricardo Miller. Come on, all right? Let's face it. It's oftentimes presented to us any given time during the season that you start questioning. But when you have resilience at your base and you start to understand, oh man, this is who I am and this is how I've been built, you can overcome some stuff. I'm resilient. Say that with me. I'm resilient. I know who I am. And see, I'm doing the work to know who I am, number one. I am accepting the fact that I'm resilient. Number three is, watch it. It helps you to connect with others. It helps you to connect with others. Oh, how good I feel. I feel great when I'm connected to somebody from Acklands. They say, oh, you're from Acklands. I'm from Acklands as well. Well, which part of Acklands are you from? I'm a Miller. I'm a Miller in Acklands. Joanna Miller. You see that? They refer to my grandmother before they refer to my grandfather. Oh, you talking about Joanna Miller, Elisha and Joanna Miller. Yes, that's my grandmother and grandfather. Okay. And I remember my great grandmother. I remember her, strong woman. She was a captain of a ship. She sailed boat and did all kinds of incredible things in her young days. Right. And so do you know that it's easy to be forgotten? It's easy to have lived and die and never be mentioned again. But when we talk about living life effectively, we're talking about building ourselves up in a way that it's more than just buying a house. It's more than just acquiring things. It's establishing a legacy. I'm responsible for my legacy. I'm responsible for breaking the cycles where I've identified that's not good. That's if that's been a family struggle, if that's been a family stronghold for a long time, I want to be one of the people who didn't just submit to it, but I made a commitment to break it. Okay? I don't want to just submit to what has been. I want to now identify what could be. What's the right way to do what I need to do to get to this next level? Last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, it makes you a better human. It makes you a better human when you know your family history. So tomorrow I'm going to break down the family history as to where and how you need to look at what went down. What went down in regards to your family position? I want us to look at our family position when it comes to wealth, when it comes to finances, wealth and finances. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. Well, what's going on? I want to dive into that. And then we're going to talk about another position on the next day, and then another position on the next day. Because I believe if you're not willing to confront an issue, chances are you won't be able to fix the issue. And if the issues that you are struggling with, or some of it you've been dealing with for a while, is generational, you want to go and see where that thing started as much as possible. You want to see and identify the root cause of it. And some of it is generational. Some of it has been locked into the family. That's just the way we do it. That's just the way we've been doing it. You're a game changer. And if as a game changer, you have to identify, okay, that's the way they've been doing it, but that's not the way I'm going to continue doing it. Come on, say that with me. That's the way they've been doing it, but that's not the way I'm going to continue doing it, because I've discovered a better way. I've discovered the right way. I've discovered a more progressive way that will allow me to not experience the level of hardship. Some of the hardships we've experienced in our families, we know it's not of God. We know it's not of God, but we fail to accept what the scripture says. We fail to accept. The Bible says in Hosea 4, my people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. My people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. We're going to dissect that a little bit more this week. I need you to know what you don't know, but you should have known. I need you to know. And here's the deal. Some people say, well, I don't know a lot. Well, go ahead and find out what you can. That's what we're going to do this week. We're going to do some digging up. Because remember now, some soul searching is inward, but some soul searching is historical as well. Okay? Some soul searching, some of the work that you have to do on your journey to living effectively is inward. You just got to work on you. But then there are some, Miss Cynthia, there are some of it you have to look at historically. You got to look at it historically. You got to look at your family line and start to identify what's been happening that should not have happened, that someone should have identified. And now at this stage in my life, I'm identifying the need to study and assess my family patterns, look at my family history, and make some adjustments to ensure that it doesn't continue. We're going in this week. This week, it's all about knowing your family history. I can't tell you your family history. You got to do the work to find out as much as possible about your family history, and then identify the good, the bad, and the ugly. And guess what? Be prepared to correct what can be correct, and be prepared to reinforce what can be reinforced. Celebrate and appreciate what you can that needs to be passed on. There are some things need to be passed on. There are some things that needs to be passed on. Resilience was in my grandfather. Resilience was in my grandmother. Okay? The Miller girls who grew up in Auckland, they're all resilient. They ain't weak. Okay? They're strong. Right? And so we got to look at this. And we got to, okay, the Miller men. I was talking to a cousin a few months back, and he said, well, you know, the Miller men are not as strong as they should. Why? Why? Let's talk about that. Why is it that it appears that the Miller women are stronger than the Miller men? Who are the Miller men to help raise other Miller men? Well, there haven't been that much men in the family. Then maybe we may need to go ahead and bring in some men who have figured it out to help our men in the family to ensure that the cycle is broken and we can start setting up a position. But here's what I know. If you don't go to the root, chances are you won't fix the problem. Chances are you won't fix the problem. So it helps you to become a better human being when you understand your family history. Digging up your family history, there's no shame in your game. It is what it is. If you were poor, you were poor. If you were rich, you were rich. If you had limited means, you had limited means. If there was some really crazy things that happened when you were a child, when you were a teenager, when your parents were born, what they went through, you just want to know, okay, what's the lesson here? What do I need to take away from this? I pray to God that you guys will get a revelation. You will get an understanding. You got to look at your root causes for why you do what you do. That's good. Kendrick, you hear me? You got to look at your root causes for why you do what you do. That's good. Catch that, Jamal? And you also have to look at your root causes on why you do what you do. That's bad. Check out your history. Check out your family history. Why is it that some family value just buying a car as a real possession, like they've done something? Just a house. Just a house is something. Now we got the new thing. Oh, if we can just get a degree is something. Oh, if we can just graduate high school, that's something. You need to know. And they are something. All those things are something. But why are we settling there when there's so much more? Why haven't there been anybody that's made a distinct difference in education? Why hasn't there been somebody in the family who's made a distinct difference in politics, in national governance? Why haven't there been anybody in the family who has invented something? Why are we just users, not creators? Why haven't we encouraged the next generation coming up to say, listen, you don't just need to be a user, you need to be a creator. Don't be the tail, be the head. Be above only and not beneath. Be the lender and not the borrower. We're going into the family history. We're going to look back. And here's the deal. Nobody's pointing the fingers at you this week. You're going to look in at your family history for you. And when you start looking at the early days as far back as you could remember or research, then what you're going to do is you're going to make some tweaks. Okay? You're going to make some tweaks because I'm going to talk about wealth and finances tomorrow in regards to family. We got to fix some things, y'all. And we got to continue some things. But you can't do that if you don't know what you're doing. And that's where a lot of people are losing out. God bless you. I will see you tomorrow. Thank you guys for joining me this morning. Let's study. Study to show ourselves approved. Let's study the family. Let's go ahead and look at our lineage. And let's not be afraid to turn over the rocks and go into those crevices and the closets and address the elephant in the room. God bless you guys. Don't miss tomorrow. It's going to be hot. Bye-bye.